Hey, welcome back to me and MS. Sorry for last week. I'm still on a Alaska hangover, but we are back to it this week and gonna pick up where I left off with my story. I think it was about 2013, early 2014. I had been on Gilenya, but decided I was still kind of gradually worsening. So, with my consulting with my neurologist, there was another new pill on the scene called tecfidera that have been getting a lot of good feedback from patients on it. So we decided to switch over to tecfidera, thinking what could be wrong with that. Unfortunately, though, I did really not tolerate tecfidera well at all. I would often deal with an upset stomach in the afternoon, and my symptoms really didn't show much improvement. And then 8 months after being on it, I had a relapse, which put me in the hospital. I had some numbness in my face again, and really just had a lot like intense trouble walking. Um, an MRIs confirmed that there was a heavy new lesion load in my brain and along my spine. So uh, I went to the hospital actually for the first time in my life, which helped me stabilize with some Solumentrol steroid injections um, and just hanging out for a couple of days while I recovered. Also, a new lesion from this attack in my brain along one brain stem, actually my left side of my brain, uh, create a really painful new side effect that's worthy of its own episode to talk about called trigeminal neuralgia. Now, uh, the symptom is basically I feel it down here and in my face. It's a really intense nerve pain. How that was caused is there was an attack on the trigeminal nerve in my brain, and so that puts pressure on it, and it's different for everyone. Some people have it incredibly bad and can't eat. I couldn't at points when it's at its worst, and I wanted to eat. I would have to wait until the attack subsided. They would also come in the middle of the night, almost like gremlins, and just shooting nerve pain in my mouth. That was very hard to figure out the best way to keep that under control, and I'm still kind of trying to keep it under control most days. But generally speaking, it's improved, and knock on wood, it's under control for right now. Yeah, so about 6 months before I had this attack or so, I actually started to see a new neurologist. I liked my neurologist who I'd been with since diagnosis fine. We got along great. We had great conversations about music and bumped into him at a few concerts a few times. But my dad and I were both kind of thinking I would benefit more from seeing a specialist. My neurologist was more of a general neurologist and was a very smart man, but he would often, even admit he would consult with people he knew at other institutions around DC. DC has some Washington D.C. area has some great medical institutions focusing on MS, like the team at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore and at Georgetown University Hospital, now MedStar Georgetown Hospital in DC. And so we decided, let's just talk to some other folks, see what they have to say. We went up to Johns Hopkins and met with their team. And while obviously they were pretty smart, they were really wasn't. We didn't really have a great connection with the team there. So we had simultaneously made an appointment with the team at Georgetown with Dr. Carlos Mora, who worked out amazingly. Dr. Mora, I still see him to this day, and he's a MS genius. He's been in the field for decades, and I can't highly recommend him enough. He really just, with every symptom, he would piece it together and was really curious about all aspects of MS. He was, in addition to clinical practice, being at Georgetown, he was a professor and involved in research studies and, just really in tune to the MS community, where, a general neurologist, to their credit, they kind of have to be pretty good in a lot. Neurology is an incredibly complex subject, so I don't want to make excuses necessarily for someone, but they may be more, have a better understanding in one field than the other. So I really found benefit in seeing an MS specialist, and that's a recommendation I have really to anyone with MS or any complex disease is outside of your having a general neurologist in your network, maybe for quicker prescription things and check-ins like that, really add a specialist to your network. Just the conversations you're going to have if you're a curious person. If you're thinking about your disease, which I hope you are, you'll hopefully have great conversations with your specialist care team. With my dad too, we're just curious people, and we think through these things from lots of different angles. And Dr. Moore would sit patiently and take all the time needed to talk through things and explore them ourselves together as a team. So back to the story. When I had the attack, I had been seeing Dr. Moore at this point, and after I had the attack, we decided to move to Tysabri. From Tysabri, it was a great move, a lot more convenient, just once a month afternoon taken. Also, I felt better on Tysabri. Kind of that last week beforehand, I may have felt a little bit of a downgrade in my energy, but for the rest of the month, especially right after, I felt like I was, just recharged, and I felt I had a lot more energy, had a lot more heat tolerance. I was a little better on my feet. Still not great, but I was doing really well on Tysabri. My balance was obviously starting to go a little more, as I've said, that downward line continued on down. So, as well as my ability to walk distances. So I really eventually stopped commuting via metro, walking a mile a day, and began driving more to downtown DC. I was living in Northwest at the time, and parking closer to my office and doing that walk rather than the whole commute, which I really didn't feel I could do every day. I could occasionally. When you have a good MS day, you got to take advantage of it, and sometimes you wake up feeling great, and so it was okay. We got it. We're doing the trek today. But I had been moving more to commuting by car, even in the city. So that was a little bit of a bummer, and also a little more expensive. But also, my stumbling became more apparent too. My foot would kind of start to drag, and my balance was off more so than in the past. I do remember bars would occasionally question my sobriety walking up to it, and while I sure as hell may have not been sober, I wasn't to the point of I guess a normal person stumbling. It was my MS was kicking in. So luckily, my friends have vouched for me to get into different places. But the turning point for my mobility came when I was grabbing lunch one day. While walking back to the office with my food in downtown DC in the heat. My foot started to scuff more, and in a brick walkway, I caught one and just ate it. Laying on my face, scratching my face, food all over my shirt. And at that point was when I gave in to using a cane. So I was now out walking around with a cane as my help. Like I said, I was about 28 at this point. Kind of embarrassing. Like I said, I was something I put off for a while because I didn't want to admit I was at that point of needing help, and I was reluctant to embrace it. But it was time, and I couldn't really hide it as much. MS had become part of, again, not my total identity, and it still isn't my total identity, but it wasn't one of those ailments I could hide as easily. It was a lot more apparent going on dates, and I had to limit my how long I was out and about during the day, so it was just the next step. So that's more or less how I left DC in 2016. And next episode we'll talk when I moved to Charleston and where my ability and the story goes from there, including the big event of having a stem cell transplant. And so stay tuned and catch you on the next one. Thanks.